Well, we have a couple more minutes before we'll start the meditation. So I'm going to welcome everyone. Know that this is a live stream, and given the nature of everybody's internet and how many people are on the internet now, that the video and the audio may be a little sluggish. So just bear with us, and I will try to talk appropriately. And Elizabeth says I have to talk without moving, which may or may not happen. So we'll just have to get through this and see how it goes. So I'll try to be as still as I can. So we'll start our meditation here in a moment. So thank you for joining Insight Meditation Community of Charlotte. We will start with a 30-minute. Take a moment to get settled where you are. Wherever you happen to be meditating at this moment. And really take this moment, this time, to begin to kind of scan your body a little bit. Start around the top of your head and just notice. What we want to do is notice any tension, any stress, anything that's there, and just kind of start at the top of your head and kind of slowly come down. We just want to notice it. We want to breathe into it. And we kind of relax into it. Kind of relax that area. Come down on your eyes, your jaws. And then continue down your neck, your shoulders, your arms, torso, your hip area, your legs. Start with your thighs, your knees, your ankles. Go all the way down to your feet, wherever they happen to be at this point. And notice any places where you may have some tension, and kind of breathe into that. We're in a time when the body's going to hold a lot of tension, a lot of those anxiety that we may be having now. And we just want to notice it, accept it, and breathe into it. So take a couple breaths in and out, and breathe into these areas. Kind of relax into your body at this point. Then, as you begin to relax some, maintain your posture. Start to come back to your breath. The in breath, the out breath. And begin to notice anything that arises, thoughts, feelings. Just let them come, notice them, and return to your breath. You just want to continue to return to our breath over and over and over. Lots of thoughts are arising, so begin to release and come back to the breath. Come back to this moment. Whatever is arising, notice it and come back to your breath. If it gets too busy, then you come back to some place in your body. Some place in your body that's grounded. Ground there for a couple breaths, and then come back to your breath, wherever you're feeling it, around your nostrils, your chest, or your abdomen. And then continue on It's coming back over and over to this present moment. virtual Sangha meeting tonight. I'm Clyde, one of the 5 leaders here at Insight Meditation Community of Charlotte. Before we get started, there's a couple of housekeeping items. One is that given the internet speeds, slow internet speeds, volume internet speeds, there may be a little delay in how things come across. Elizabeth says I need to talk slower and to not move while I talk. I apologize in advance because I'm going to violate both of those probably, but we will get through this. The second thing is that there is a chat function on the screen, and you are welcome to ask questions. I will not respond through the chat room. I'll be responding through the, I'll respond orally when we get at the end of the talk. So you can put those in at any time and I'll check them. Okay, so tonight I wanted to, the challenging times these last few weeks has been that the teachings of the Buddha have been very evident at this time. We're talked about uncertainty, this idea of impermanence, attachment, wanting things to be the way they were. There's fear, there's anxiety, these disturbing thoughts and feelings that we have now. And all these things are perfectly normal. And these are things that we're seeing, this attachment, this wanting to be things different. And so these are very evident to me right now. And yet, at the same time, the teachings have given us tools to practice and navigate through these challenging times. So the teachings, the way the Buddha described things, the way things are happening, I'm seeing that. But I'm also seeing that we have the tools. We've been given these tools. As you know, there are many resources online now around meditations and things that can help you. Just the other day, I got an email from Jack Cornfield, who was putting out a pandemic care package. Includes videos, meditations, classes, and how to create a home retreat. And we also have some resources on our website and Facebook page. So I encourage you to utilize these, to go and utilize these and take advantage of them. But for me, all these things we're talking about are not new practices. They're not something, how they package them may be different, but they weren't practices developed for this pandemic. This is what was important to me. What I found out was this is what we've been doing all along. This is our practice. We're taking our basic meditation and mindfulness practice and we are applying it to this situation. So this is something we've been doing. It's what we just did, what we do every Wednesday night. We come in, we sit, we meditate. We are learning to be with the way things are. So tonight, I want to go over a quick sutta that I've been seeing a lot these days, and then talk about a couple, 2 or 3 of these practices that have been beneficial for me over the past few weeks and have been supporting me. The sutta, which is a teaching of the Buddha, is one that many of you are familiar with. It's called the second dart or the second arrow. And I'm just going to read a couple of lines from it. And it talks about when an untaught worldling, that's the one who hasn't heard the teachings, when an untaught worldling is touched by a painful feeling. He worries and grieves. He laments, beats his breast, weeps, and is distraught. He thus experiences two kinds of feelings, a bodily and a mental feeling. It is as if a man were pierced by a dart, and following the first piercing, he is hit by a second dart. So that person will experience feelings caused by two darts. Later on in the sutta, it talks about the well-taught noble disciple. When she is touched by a painful feeling, she will not worry nor grieve and lament. She will not beat her breast and weep, nor will she be distraught. It is one kind of feeling she experiences, a bodily one, not a mental one. As if a person were pierced by a dart and was not hit by a second dart following the first one. So this person experienced the concern about the pandemic. I noticed I have a lot of what ifs, what's going to happen. And then I began to see these as some of these second darts. So how do I work with that? I'm sure we all have that coming up over the past few weeks. The first thing we do is we want to stay in the present moment. This is our practice. This is not something new. This is something most of you have practiced. This present moment. Learning and being with what is arising in this moment. And there is uncertainty, there's anxiety, there's fear, there can be frustration, a sense of helplessness. This is very normal for these things to be present now, to be present in our lives now. And as we meditate, and as we sit in meditation, these arise, we learn to be with them, to not hold on to them, to cling to them, or we don't push them away. We're learning to be with what's arising in this present moment. And I saw a lot of, and you'll note, I noticed that some hindrances that I have, things that I work with, seem to be stronger now. That's perfectly normal also. But I worked with these before, and I continue to work with them. I began to see a lot of these second dart, a lot of these stories that I was adding on, and it was causing my suffering. So we want to be in the present moment, both on the cushion and off the cushion in our mindfulness. This moment is like this. This moment is like this. There was an article in this month's Lion's Roar, and it was an article about someone feeling overwhelmed. And the author offered this reflection. What is the difference between the actual problem posed by my situation and my perception of and feelings about my situation? The difference between the actual problem posed by my situation and my perception of and feelings about my situation. The present moment is always available to us. It's always there for us. No matter what we're doing, no matter what situation we're in, we can come back to the present moment. When this moment is like this, we can start to begin to see, maybe there's a moment of calmness. Maybe there's a moment when there is no fear, or when we don't see the anxiety arising. And we want to nourish those moments and start to build on those moments. Because we're going to have plenty of moments when we do have anxiety and helplessness and fear. So we want to start to offset those through our practice, which we've been doing, to trust our practice at this time. So we come back over and over to this present moment. This moment is like this. So the second thing that I do The second practice, and I know this is difficult. It's not easy to stay in the present moment all the time now. But this is our practice. This is what we've been practicing for. The second one is a practice of gratitude. Now, I want to acknowledge that everyone, and we all have different stressors in our lives right now. Some are much, people are worried about their jobs, about finances, about family members, about what's going to happen. We all have stressors, and I understand that. That's why it's so important that we spend some time with developing gratitude. And it can be very simple things. I do a lot of very simple things. I just say, well, in this moment, I'm not hungry. In this moment, I have a place to sleep. In this moment, I have a home. I'm not cold, I'm not hot. In this moment, I'm healthy. In this moment, I have people to care about and that care about me. I say this when I'm out walking. I will go if I'm walking or running or exercising. I say, I'm grateful that my body is supporting me with this. So find these moments of gratitude, either on the cushion or off the cushion. In this moment, I'm grateful for this. In this moment, I'm grateful that I have enough toilet paper. There can be, I'm grateful that I have this. I'm grateful. How does that feel? How does that feel in my body? We're trying to offset all this anxiety and worry that we're going to have in the world because we're living in difficult times with moments of some peace and some calm. So the third practice that I've been doing more of has been metta. And metta is a powerful practice. And I do a lot anyway. But during this time, I had been doing metta. I've been focusing on two areas of metta. One is metta for myself. I have found that in this time, being able to give metta to myself provides me with a sense of agency, that I'm doing something, It helps to ground me. And through this being grounded, during the day, I get up every morning, I do some metta for myself. So during the day, I feel like I've done something and I feel more grounded. I feel like I can be more available for other people if needed. So I do metta for myself. And also, I'm doing metta for others, for all human beings, for all beings. And you can ask Debbie or Alexis, and they'll tell you that Clyde's not the touchy-feely type. And I'll admit that in a lot of times with metta, I'm doing it more as a concentration practice over and over. And I've always felt that, when I say human, all beings everywhere, it was kind of dry and sterile. 2 or 3 weeks ago, I noticed that I am connected, and this is another one of Buddha's teachings. This interconnected. We are all interconnected. This pandemic is showing. I am connected with people in Iraq and Italy, in China, in Spain, all over the world. I am sharing a fear. I am sharing anxiety with every human being in the world right now. That made a difference in my metta. That connectedness was there. It wasn't, it's just someone out there in Russia. There's someone in Russia feeling exactly like I'm feeling right now. And just as I want to be safe and protected, I want them to be safe and protected. So staying in this present moment, coming back to the present moment, this moment is like this. being grateful for little things, and doing my metta and practicing my mindfulness during the day. These are challenging times. Those are the three main practices. And I wanted to talk just real briefly. There's three other things that I'm trying to do to support me during this time. One is that I do limit my media input. It's very important that we know what's going on in the world. We follow the guidelines that people are doing, that we practice the practice that that our doctors are telling us to do. And so, but I try to limit that. And invariably, enough of it comes through that I get enough of it. I don't stay on the news media all day long. So I limit that. The second thing I do is that I try to connect with others. I've talked more with my neighbors now than I ever have, with the Zoom, Facebook, these ways. Stay connected with others, reach out to others, reach out to people that you think might need reaching out to. The third thing that I do is that I try to connect with nature. I'm fortunate that I can get outside, backyard, walk the dog, go biking. Being with nature is important to me. And however you do this, whether it's being outside like I am, or being like Alexis, where you're sitting inside and you're smiling back and forth with the deer in her yard, connecting with nature is also a powerful support during this time. So I encourage you, the important thing that I've noticed in this is that we have been given these tools. We know how to do this. This is not new to us that have been practicing. Whether you've been practicing 2 days or 20 years, it's coming back to this present moment, being present, being with what is arising in this moment. That's our practice. And we have the tools to use in this time. Thank you. So if anyone has any questions there or about the talk or about their practice, I'll be glad to address those through the chat room. While you're thinking about those, I can do the announcements, and then continue. If you have any questions, feel free to write any. The announcements, there is a Beyond the Basics series that Ward will be doing on the Divine Messengers. It's going to be on Tuesday, starting on May the 5th. And I think it's going to run every other Tuesday. So please check the website for registration information. On Wednesday, May the 13th, Larry DeWalt, one of our Dharma leaders in training, will be doing the Dharma talk. You want to save the date. We're being very hopeful. The annual Sangha picnic on May the 24th at Freedom Park. The cancellations, many of you know this about this. The Mark Nunberg event that was going to be on May the 15th and 16th has been hopefully delayed until the fall. We had planned to do a spring Wednesday evening series that we normally do in the spring on the Brahma Viharas. We've decided to postpone that to allow the Dharma leaders an opportunity to speak a little bit more leeway in what they would like to talk about during this time. We're trying to keep everything up to date on our website, imccharlotte.org. So please check there if you need anything. Let's see. Someone asked the question, what do you do to limit media exposure? Media is so pervasive. True. I don't have a lot of feeds coming across my phone. I pick a time where I can, when I want to see the news, and I see the news at that point in time. And so just during that time, the rest of the time, I just don't look at things. I tend to get people will send me things, and I'll look at those, and I'll go back and forth around the important things. But I don't watch a lot of TV anyway, so I know it's there's a balance there in being aware and knowledge about what we should be doing, which is very important in this time. For me, it's worked out that I just seem to get what I need. So I don't go to Facebook. I do very little Facebook, but some of it and so I'm not on the internet very much doing that. So it's basically just, it's pervasive, but it's coming through on something you can turn off. And we owe it to ourselves to kind of turn some of these things off for once in a while and manage that. Someone asked, would you consider grief a second era? How would you deal appropriately with grief? I don't know that grief is a second arrow. I think grief, and this is for me, is an emotion. And I think it's natural. I think it is something we want to be with, just like all emotions when they arise. Sadness, grief. And we want to sit with it, to be with it, but to also not get attached to it. But there's a difference between noticing it and acknowledging it, honoring grief, really, and then just continue to be with it and notice it. And this idea of not getting attached to it is where it's very difficult to do. But we have to really honor grief and let grief kind of work its own way through us and as it's time. I've noticed that with grief, it kind of does its own thing. And what we need to do is kind of be with it when it's here. If there are any other questions, then we will. I do want to thank Elizabeth, Thea, even Steve for helping put this on tonight. It's wonderful that we are able to do this. So we'll close with our metta. So take a moment just to kind of settle back in where you are. Take a couple of deep breaths. And like we said, I give metta to myself. The Buddha said no one deserves it more than yourself. And for now, that's even more important. So may I be safe and protected. May I be healthy and strong. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I live with joy and ease. Now bring to mind someone else that you would like to send metta to. There's probably someone, maybe you haven't sent metta to them before, but you, in these difficult times, that really needs this metta. Bring a picture of them into your mind's eye. Let it settle into your heart. May you be safe and protected. May you be healthy and strong. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you live with joy and ease. And as the Buddha said, we are all interconnected. May all beings be safe and protected. May all beings be healthy and strong. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May all beings live with joy and ease. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Have a safe and sane week.